everybody. Thank you for joining me. I am Jennifer Davis, Healthy Living with Dr. Jen, and I'm excited to share one of my favorite quick recipes to prepare. It's a one-pot meal, so it's really simple, and it is easy cleanup, which is even better. So it is a mushroom stroganoff. So I have some chestnut mushrooms that I actually got from the farmer's market, really yummy, but you can use any type of mushroom, button mushrooms, cremini mushrooms, whatever mushrooms you have on hand you can use. So, but these are good because they're in season now. An onion, some fresh parsley. Again, you can use dried if you have that available. I just have a little kale, which doesn't, the recipe normally doesn't call for that, but I always like to add a little bit of extra green wherever I can, so I'll add that at the end. Some cashews, a lemon. I have nutritional yeast, which gives it kind of a cheesy flavor. I should say that the recipe is plant-based. I do a lot of plant-based cooking. I try to convert typical recipes to a more healthier plant-based alternative, and nutritional yeast is a good tool. It gives it, like I said, a cheesy flavor, adds a little more depth to the recipe. And tamari is another one of my favorite ingredients. It is similar to soy sauce, but it is soy-free, and it is fermented, and it gives it a little bit more depth of flavor. And then some vegetable broth and some whole grain pasta, which you can substitute gluten-free if you're gluten-free. This is a yellow lentil pasta, equally as good. So I'm just gonna get started. I have my onion, which I'm going to slice thinly. I recommend starting with a sharp knife, which is not what I have. But, so I'm gonna peel it, and we'll get started here. Like I said, I love this recipe because it is quick and easy. The longest thing is really chopping the onion. After that, everything, you can have it done within 20 minutes. So, put my, over here. So the goal is thin slices. Again, it's better to start with a sharper knife. I'm cooking not in my home kitchen, so I probably could have chosen a better knife for this. And then I'm just gonna quarter this. And then I'm gonna leave it just like that. So I'll put that to the side. And then I'm going to use my garlic here. Just like to smash it to get the skins off first. Okay, so that is small enough. So 2 cloves of garlic. This is an extra one, we don't need that one. I always add extra garlic to everything I make just for more flavor. A lot of times people think when you cook plant-based that it is lacking flavor, but really you can use as much spice as you like, so you want to make sure that you do get that good flavor. There's no reason to sacrifice flavor just because you're eating plant-based. Okay, so that is the rest of that onion. I'm not going to use the rest of that. So first I'm going to saute the onion. I generally use water to saute because unless the recipe calls for, so just a little water to on the bottom of the pan just so it doesn't burn. And just let that heat up a little bit. So you can use it just like you use oil. And it works just as good. I try to reserve oil for recipes that need the oil for the flavor. I tend to use olive oil, like if I'm making a dressing sometimes. But generally, you can get by with just using water for sauteing because the flavor is going to come from all the other ingredients. while that water is heating up, I'm just going to prepare my mushrooms. Turn my garlic to the side here. So with mushrooms, when you clean mushrooms, really the goal is to not get them too wet because it absorbs most of the water. So you can use a dry cloth and just really wipe away the dirt if you see any dirt on the mushrooms. These are pretty clean. They were grown. So just remove the stalk that they grew on. So I'll cut that off. And I toss that to the side. And otherwise, I'll just coarsely chop the mushrooms. They don't need to be too small. When they cook, they will, get smaller. So they will shrink in size, I should say. So they don't need to be cut too small. And I use the stalks as well as the caps. So we're going to have a lot of mushrooms here. And I'm just going to take that stalk off that they grew on. And just cut them like that. A little bit more. So normally you would just use an 8 or 10 ounce container if you were purchasing it in the grocery store. So about that much. I'm going to use all of these mushrooms though because I don't want them to go to waste. These are good. They last for a little while, but if you keep them more than a few days, they do tend to go bad. So I'd rather use them all in this recipe. Okay, so my mushrooms are ready to go. I'm just going to leave them like that. And my water is heating here, so I'm just going to add my onions to basically let them dry saute. And I'm going to saute them until they are translucent, or until they're soft. And once they're soft, I will add the garlic, and then the rest of the ingredients from there. So like I said, I love this recipe because it is really quick and easy, and like I said, you only use one pot, and of course the cutting board. Onions are starting to heat up. You can't see it here, but there's like a gentle boil or simmer. So I'll give those a few more minutes. Cashews are the other component of this recipe. The cashews I make a cashew cream. And so normally I have a high-speed blender. If you have a regular blender, I recommend soaking the cashews first, so you can soak them for an hour or so before you start, and then blend. So those look pretty good there. I'm going to add the garlic now. Turn my heat down a little bit. And I just basically saute the garlic until it gets fragrant, basically. So when you can smell the garlic, when the flavor is awakened by the heat, then I will proceed. So just a few minutes, usually like another minute or so. And you can see my onions they're nice and clear, so they're ready. I'll just give that garlic a few more minutes, another minute, I should say, to heat up a little. And I add the tamari for a little bit of flavor, about a teaspoon of tamari. the next step is great because you just add all of the remaining ingredients. So I'm going to add the mushrooms in to my pot. Okay. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. Give that a little stir. I'm going to add the pasta. So I like to use whole grain pasta whenever possible, just for the additional nutritional value. It has additional protein, and the whole grains are really good for your helping balance your blood sugar and lower cholesterol, and they're just overall more nutritious. So I'm going to add, this is actually the yellow lentil pasta. I'm going to add that in, and then I'm also going to add my vegetable broth. So about 4 cups of vegetable broth. And I'm going to turn my heat up. Just going to add a little bit more water since I added those extra mushrooms in. Now I'm going to bring it to a boil again. So let that get to a boil. And then once it boils, I'll turn it down, and it cooks for about 15 minutes. Just check to make sure that, I'll check and make sure that the pasta is cooked appropriately. In the meantime, I'm going to make the cashew cream. So the cashew cream is great. It's, instead of adding a dairy cream, the cashew cream is good because it's no saturated fat, and again has more other benefits, higher fiber, and other antioxidants that come with the plants. So it's a cup of water, so a cup of cashews, and then about a tablespoon of lemon juice. I am just going to squeeze it right in. Do it over the bowl so you can see, but just basically right into the spoon. Normally I just squeeze it right into the blender, but make sure that we don't add any seeds. So that's about a tablespoon of lemon juice. I'll just get that seed out before it goes in. And I'm just going to blend it until it's creamy. I'll leave that aside until the pasta's ready. So I've got a little boil going on, so I'm going to turn it down a little bit and just let it simmer. So I love kale because it has so many good nutritional properties, and it's really versatile. You can put it in many different things. So I just remove the ribs, and then I'm going to chop it fine so that it will mix into the pasta, and it won't, the texture will be perfect. We'll give it the chance to cook. The smaller it is, the easier it is to cook. So I like to use kale in so many different things. I mean, I use it in pesto, I will use it in soups, even in salad. So You can either just pull the leaves off the rib, which is easy too, and then chop it after that. Or you can use the knife and cut, whichever is you prefer. And this will really just cook down to very minimal. So it's one bunch of kale that I also got from the farmer's market. So kale is high in potassium. There you go. Put it on top of me. So now I'm just going to stir my pasta again, check on it, and make sure it's doing okay. Just want to stir it occasionally to make sure it doesn't get stuck to the bottom. And the kale, I'm just going to chop really small. And just give it a chop again, so it's bite-sized pieces. So I'll just leave that aside for when the pasta is done, and I'll add that when it gets close to the end. Just getting close. And the parsley is a nice touch. It is not necessary. Again, I said you can use dried parsley if you like, but it is a nice way to add a little extra flavor at the end. So I love mushrooms. They have so many good medicinal properties. They are also very versatile. I use them in a lot of dishes to mimic meat if you're doing a meatless Monday or you are vegetarian. It's a great ingredient that you can use in many different ways. Sometimes I make many pasta dishes with it, mushroom risotto. There are a variety of different mushrooms also that can mimic different types of meats, I guess you could say. So oyster mushrooms are another one of my favorites, which you can use as a substitute for chicken, or also like fish. If you like fish, it does tend to have like a little bit of I guess you would call a fishy flavor. These chestnut mushrooms are great because the flavor is mild, and they work well in many different dishes as well. I do like to sample while I cook, so I will try a little and see if the pasta is done yet. Let's see. That pasta's done. It's good. So now I'm going to take it off the heat. Actually, I'm going to add the kale that I chopped up nicely here. Maybe I'll add half the kale and just give that a few seconds to wilt. Nice bright green kale in there. It's always good to add a little green to your dishes. Now add our cashew cream. And then we will see how it tastes. So the cashew cream, that's nice and thick. Add that extra creaminess to the recipe. I'm just going to stir that to make sure it's all incorporated. And there you go. You can use any kind of pasta you like. I like the penne. I will post the recipe link in the comments. It's a really simple recipe, and the great thing is that you can use whatever mushrooms you have on tap. You don't have to use chestnut mushrooms, but like I said, button mushrooms, cremini mushrooms, whatever are available also work well in this recipe. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more healthy recipes and tips. If there's any special recipes that you are interested in converting to plant-based, or you want some questions about plant-based nutrition, feel free to comment. Look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for watching.